programs, we invite you to participate in a connecting to your core. Arts and culture are such two activities, more like passions when performed from the core of one's being. And these can help you connect to your higher self. This is exactly what we are going to see today when Mrs. Sneha Devanandan, who's going to talk to us about the subject, Sidhi through Indian classical dance for around 20 minutes, a beautiful dance performance thereafter for around 10 minutes, followed by mudras and navrasas for another 10 minutes, which she is going to make us also follow. And after that, you're free to ask her any questions relating to the dance form and content, the importance of the music, the attire, and her intense practice to achieve this level of perfection. Let me tell you a little bit about Sneha. There are lots of accolades. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a rare combination of a flawless dancer, choreographer, teacher, and a commerce graduate. Sneha has established herself as a renowned artist, not only in Bangalore, but across the country. She is one of the senior disciples of the ever charismatic awardee of Bharata Sikharam, Natya Rani Shantala, and Karnataka Rajotsava. Late Guru, Mrs. Padmini Ramachandra, Natya Priya, Bangalore. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Now, this versatile dancer you see in front of you, so young, achieved many awards, and I'll tell you just a few of them. She's an A-grade artist of Doordarshan National Channel. She's an empaneled artist of ICCR, the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, New Delhi. She's a Yuva Pratibha awardee from Kannada and Culture Department, Government of Karnataka. She's a Young Achievers Award from Rotary Bangalore. She's a Vidvat Proficiency in Bharatnatyam from Government of Karnataka and a gold medalist from Kalavedi Cultural Organization for her achievements. And there are many more, but I can't list them all. She's traveled extensively across the country and abroad. In many countries she has performed, and she set up her own institute called the Kalanidhi Nritya Mandiram, where she trains hundreds of passionate students and passes on the knowledge that she has received from her gurus. So welcome, Sneha. We are absolutely thrilled to have you on our panel today. And over to you. You can start with the talk and then we can take it from there.
Thank you so much, Beenaji. Namaskaram. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This is indeed a wonderful opportunity and an honor for me to be a part of the webinar series. I'm really humbled to share whatever little bit I know about this mighty ocean of knowledge, Bharatanatyam. This being a Natya Veda, it may take me several births to even understand a little bit of what our gods created. Bharatanatyam is not just any dance. It is not merely created for entertainment, but for the attainment of spiritual bliss for both the dancer and the audience. So Bharatanatyam, like the other various art forms of India, requires several years of practice, training, surrender to the guru and surrender to the art form. There needs to be a constant thirst to acquire knowledge, and this can only happen when we understand that we are nothing in comparison to this universe. Just like Krishna Paniji sir told us during his sessions that we relate everything to self and we give too much importance to the I. It is only when we reduce the importance to the I and then give more importance to the art form, then we allow the art form to consume us and take us to a meditative state where we become one with the art form. It is only with such sadhana that the artist can transport the audience from one level of consciousness to a level of aesthetic bliss. I'd like to take you through briefly about the introduction, how the dance form originated. So long ago, during the transitional period between two ages, it so happened that people took to ways of lust and greed, anger, hatred, It so happened that the earth was swarmed not only with the gods, but with demons, evil spirits, yakshas, asuras. And so Indra and the other demigods decided to go to Brahma to find a solution for this, and requested Brahma to give them something that they can not only hear but also see, which would act as a diversion from these bad ways of life. So Brahma had already created the 4 Vedas, and he created the 5th Veda called the Natya Veda. And in this Natya Veda, he picked up elements from all the 4 Vedas. So from the Rig Veda, he picked up recitations, the reading, the intellectual content. And from the Sama Veda, he took music, singing. From the Yajur Veda, Abhinaya, and the mimicking part of it. And from the Atharvana Veda, the rasas and the emotional content. So this Natya Veda was created for all of humanity. It was to depict the deeds, both good and bad, so that it would prove as an instruction to people. So Brahma created this Natya Veda and passed it on to the gods and demigods, who then read it and spent a lot of time on it. And then they came to a conclusion that it was too tough, it was too voluminous, and it was too hard for them to digest or to put it to any practical use. So they went looking for a really studious and hardworking Muni, and they found Bharata Muni, who then systematically created the Natya Shastra, which is the earliest written literature on dramaturgy. So this was for all of humanity, and it teaches the rules of composing dramatic plays, poetic works. Natya Shastra has every single aspect that you will see in all art forms across the globe, from elaborate contents like play construction, stage, costume, makeup, abhinaya, to the smallest of intricate details like just movements of the eyes called the Drishti Veda, or movements of the face, the Shiro Veda, movements of the upper body, the hands, the legs, just the feet, just the thighs, just the knee, to the movements of the fingers. So he has given us a very systematic way to follow and told us that this is a particular movement that has to be used for a particular mood or by a particular character. But he also gives us the freedom and says that there is no fixed way to present a certain action. It is completely upon the freedom of the artist's interpretation and creativity. So this path that was carved out by Bharata Muni came to be known as the Margi form, and all other regional observances came to be called as the Desi. So Margi technique was universal, but Desi was more connected to the particular regions. So for example, I am a practitioner of Bharatanatyam, and this comes from South India, Tamil Nadu. So if you look at the body language and the dressing, you can very much understand that we are highly influenced by the Tamil culture. So this beautiful art form that was created by the gods for the gods, we are very lucky that it came down to the earth, and this was taken over by the highly skilled and respected Devadasis. Devadasis completely surrendered to the deity of a particular temple, and then they worshipped the god through dance and music. After this, the dance came on to the courts of the kings, who patronized it and supported the growth. And now finally, we are very fortunate that all of us have the privilege of learning this art form, passing it on to others. And thus, we're really proud to be able to give out this beautiful heritage to the future generations. So to understand Bharatanatyam, there are a few classifications that I would love you all to know. So any dance piece that you see will either be a nritya or a natya. So nritya is a dance piece that is completely filled with movements which may not convey a particular meaning. It could just be based on rhythm or music or instruments. Nritya, on the other hand, is something that is very meaningful. It has a lot of abhinaya. It is either done to show a particular scene, a situation, a particular emotion. And in this abhinaya, there are various types. One is the angika abhinaya, where we use our body entirely to convey a particular meaning. And then we have the vachika abhinaya, which is the song, the recitation. The aharya abhinaya, which is the costume, the jewelry, the makeup. And the satvika abhinaya, which finally comes from the Sattva Guna or the inner conscience. The last is the Natya category, which is a presentation of all the elaborate epics, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata. Each of these presentations or Vritabandhas help us understand a particular song or a story or a situation. And one of the most beautiful things that you will see in the Indian classical art forms are the usage of our palms and our fingers. You will not find this in any other art form across the globe. We have meanings for every single usage. And when we add the facial features and when we add body movements, the meaning is more effectively conveyed. So in general, we use the entire body along with our complete mind and our conscience, and thus there is a physical and a mental well-being of the artist. I'd like to take you through a few of the benefits of doing Bharatanatyam or any other Indian classical art form. So we artists are introduced to this at a very, very young age, and there's a very systematic form of learning this art form. So we develop a lot of discipline. There's a lot of respect towards self, towards the guru, to the art form, to each other who is learning. We learn to move our bodies and control our limbs with a lot of ease. Students become rapid learners and they have powerful memory, trying to capture various choreographies and move the body according to different beats, different musical notations, all in a very limited period of time, and because of which the brain cells are constantly active and engaged. This being an exercise of the mind and the body, individuals are more aware of their surroundings, and they are also very aware of the small changes that happens within the person's body. Strong reflex and multitasking are some of the few benefits that I personally have experienced. We are also exposed to a lot of stories from the past. It helps us take our heritage forward with a great sense of pride. Now, I've taken you all briefly through what Bharatanatyam is just to help you understand, but I know that finally you will be able to experience and enjoy it if you see me watch a piece. And today I'm taking over a piece on Lord Sri Rama. This is written by Saint Tulsidas, and the choreography is done by one of my gurus, Shankar Kandaswamy. These actions are not done deliberately, but very artistically. So I'd like to just take you through the meaning of the dance so that you will understand it a little bit better. So the song goes like this, Sri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajamana. So the poet here is saying that, dear heart, when you pray and praise the Lord with devotion, Lord Sri Rama will come and just take away all your fears, all your pain, and he will free you from this cycle of birth and death. He is the Lord Sri Rama who has eyes as beautiful as the lotus petal, who has a face as gorgeous as the lotus, whose palms are as tender as the lotus, and who has beautiful feet like the lotus. In most of our songs and in Indian mythology, we do compare a lot of the gods to that of a lotus, because the lotus is such a flower that it grows out of all the swamp and the dirt, but it comes out so purely and it surrenders to the sun. The second para moves on to a small episode of Manmatha, or Cupid, as you all know, is the god of love. So he is walking around with a lot of arrogance because he's the son of Mahavishnu and he's supposed to be the most charming of the demigods. So he's walking with a lot of pride because he knows that I'm the one who controls men and women and their love. And then he chances upon Sri Rama and he's so stunned to see the beauty of Lord Sri Rama. He then compares it with himself and realizes that he's nothing in front of the divine beauty and thus loses his pride. We move on to the story of Dasharatha, who's so fond of Lord Sri Rama, and he's playing with Sri Rama as a child, and Rama says, I want to see the moon, dear father. And then Dasharatha takes him to see the moon and looks at the moon, looks at the sun, looks at the moon and says, you know what? The moon is nothing in front of your divine beauty. And then plays with Sri Rama and finally imagines Sri Rama taking over the throne as the king. We also have a very beautiful episode of Sita and Rama when they meet for the very first time. So Sita is playing with her friends in a beautiful garden, and then Rama comes to the same place and gets the ball she's playing with. That is the first time they glance at each other and there's love at first sight. The story goes on to the Swayamvara of Sita, where Rama picks up the Shiva Dhanush, and then the marriage. The song continues with the praise of Lord Hanuman. So as you all know, wherever there is the term Rama, or wherever there is the praise of Lord Sri Rama, Hanuman is present. So I conclude the piece by showing Hanuman, who opens up his heart to show that Rama resides over there. So now I will present the Sri Rama Bhajan. First, you will see me do a Bhumi Namaskaram. A Bhumi Namaskaram is my salutation to Mother Earth, to gather all the energies that she can provide me, and also apologizing to her because I'm going to be stepping on her maybe with a lot of weight, and so I'm saying, sorry dear mother, forgive me for doing this, but give me all your energy and blessings. And also I pray to the gods, to the Guru, and to our parents. I will now present the Rama Bhajan. The Bhumi Namaskaram. Salutation to the God, Guru, Father, Mother.
Ram Ramabhadra Ramachandraya Vedasi Prabhunathaya Nathaya Sutaya Pataya Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajanu Hare Bhayedanu Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajanu Hare Bhayedanu Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajanu Hare Bhayedanu Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajanu Hare Bhayedanu Kanjalocha Kanjamukha Karakanjapada Kanjam Kanjalocha Kanjamukha Karakanjapada Kanjam Shri Ram Kungalati तिलक चारु उधार अंगविभूषण चिरमुकुट कुंडल तिलक चारु उधार अंगविभूषण चिरमुकुट कुंडल तिलक चारु उदार अंगविभूषण अगौर शतापर संग्रामभूषण अगौर शतापर संग्रामभूषण श्री राम श्री राम Shri Ram Ram Shri Ram Iti Vandati Tulasi Das Shankar Sesha Muni Manaranjanam Mama Hridaya Nivasapur Kamadi Thalagalanjan Iti Vandati Tulasi Das Shankar Sesha Muni Manaranjanam Mama Nivasapur Kamadi Thalagalanjan Yatra yatra Raghunath Kirtanam Tatra tatra Kritamastakam Vashvavari Paripurna Paripurna Lochan Maruti Namakaraksha Maruti Namakaraksha Om Shri Hamate Namaha Om Shri Hamate Namaha Om Shri Hamate Namaha
So
Thank you, Sneha. That was beautiful.
thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. As you'll have watched this piece, you would have noticed the usage of hastas, the body language to convey every character, how Sri Rama is always with a lot of masculine energy and Sita is very subtle and a lot of feminine grace and dignity. So this interpretation, whatever has happened, is finally what happens in the minds of his artist because of all the experiences, because of the level of devotion. And it is definitely the duty of the artist to carefully pass on the heritage. And through this, we become the present. We become a link with our past and the future. I'd like to use the next few minutes to teach all of you a few hastas and mudras, and you're free to try it with me. So to start off with something very simple, just a use of hastas. You can just hold all your fingers together and join it. And this becomes a bud. And as you open those fingers, you are showing a flower that is blossomed. So from here to, and when you add perfection in body. So if I have to keep my body straight, and if I add a bit of the neck movements, a bit of the eyes, then the meaning of the flower, the beauty of the flower gets multiplied. Then if I just show, would not convey the beauty of the flower. I can make it even more beautiful by adding this. You turn your hands around. And this. There is so much more beauty. So every action can be interpreted in any way that we want to. Now we've seen the flower with 2 hands. We can use with just 1 hand. So you close it and you open. And what happens when the flower opens? There is a beautiful butterfly or a bee that is coming in. So this hasta is folded, the index finger is folded, and then you join these 2. Okay, and you give it a little bit of a shiver to show the fluttering. So, and you follow it with your eyes. So the eye conveys a lot in dancing. And then you can see it going around. So you could just do it like this, but then you add the body, and there is so much of beauty that is conveyed with it. You should, most of us who are right-handed can use this on the right, because the control of the right is a lot better than the left, and you could keep the still hasta on the left. One of the most important hastas that I see is used during this lockdown, Chatura Hasta. You put your finger here, 3 fingers together, and the thumb in the front. From here, tying of a mask before you leave your house. Yes, like this. So I want to take you through some of the hastas that are used in the piece so that you will understand it a little better. So when I showed Sri Rama, I was holding a mighty bow in front of me. So the bow is held like this with the Chikara Hosta. This is called the Chikara Hosta. All the hastas have names. So we hold the bow ahead here, and this is how he holds the arrows. You can hold it like this, but this is how we stylize it. We add a lot of beauty. So a bow and arrow can be held just like this, but what we Indian classical dancers do is add a lot of Indian elements and beautify it. So this is here, and for Sri Rama, it is kept to the side below. As you know, most of our gods, warriors have the bow and the arrow, and these are kept in a particular position so that we don't confuse with the characters. You can see even Arjuna holding it. You can see Lakshmana holding it. We try to place it in different positions so that we don't get confused and mix up our gods and goddesses. And for Sita, I held the same thing, but I let go of the last 2 fingers. So this indicates a lady or holding of a flower. And you can hold it here. You can hold it in different positions to suit your body, and then shy. A bit of shyness adds so much of beauty to the character Sita. We must make sure that we show Sita as Sita is, and not Sita with absolute power. I cannot make Sita look like Durga and add a lot of attitude on my face. I have to be very sweet, very calm, very graceful. And at the same time, if I show Kali like this, it's not going to work. So we have to be very careful when we portray the gods and goddesses, and we have to understand them to a very large extent. By just learning up a choreography, you cannot do justice to the gods. It is important for us to understand them and have a certain amount of love and devotion, and only then can we actually convey the meaning of the song and make the audience understand what it is. So Beenaji had also requested me to show the Navarasas. So the Navarasas are the 9 emotions that we predominantly see in Indian art forms. So the first one would be Shringara. Shringara is my favorite. It is the emotion of love. It is the emotion of romance. So how would you show love and romance? So you can keep your hastas here towards your heart, and then take that love towards your Lord. We can also be showing love looking upwards based on the height of the character that you wish to portray. as the opposite, the hero. You can show love, and you can receive the love through shyness. You can look, you can cover your face. Shy, love. You can show a beautiful kiss. You can show an embrace. This is Shringara Rasa. The next one is Hasya Rasa, which I'm sure all of you know. Hasya Rasa is just laughter, and laughter can be one of the most enjoyable emotions. So if a lady is laughing, we would show it more subtly. Surprise. So when we see the stars, when we see Lord Nataraja dancing, lifting his leg up, so beautiful, astonishment. The eyes open up, the heart is full of emotion. Adbhuta Rasa, Karuna Rasa, compassion. Compassion. Karuna can be shown with a lot of sorrow, with a lot of joy as well.
When you're completely into the dance?
Exactly, ma'am. What happens is that we get transported to a zone where we actually forget being ourselves. That is how dancing has to take you. So when I'm portraying Sri Rama, I cannot have the arrogance of portraying Rama, but I have to do complete justice to what Sri Rama was, an absolutely humble, caring, sweet king. And so I become Sri Rama in all ways, and I imbibe all these qualities. And that is the only time I can make the audience understand that that is Sri Rama. If I add a lot of arrogance here, I could just be a mighty warrior. And when I'm Sita, the same way, like I mentioned, I have to be absolutely graceful. So as an artist and as a teacher, what happens is while we are choreographing a certain piece, we do a lot of reading, we spend a lot of time listening to music, and all that time we actually forget who we are. And we completely take over to become the personality that is written in the poetry or the song or the mantra. And by that, we are actually losing ourselves to the superior most being. And that connection is what gives us these beautiful ideas and helps us Indianize it and actually produce such beautiful movements, because this is something that was created thousands and thousands of years ago. And if we are actually able to pass it on, I think it is because there is still a link from the God directly towards each of us artists, and he is the one who is telling us this is how we have to move. I think we merely are puppets in his hands, and we're just doing what he wants us to do.
So some more compliments for you. Very touching performance, truly impressed and grateful for it. Such a graceful performance. Thank you for explaining. Very beautifully explained the concepts of Natya Veda. Absolute delight to watch the performance, especially after your explanation, which helped me relate to your performance so well. Thank you. So then here's a question for you. Do you find that you go into a trance state when you dance? Does that happen more during the Abhinaya pieces or with the pure Nritya pieces also?
So this could be different from each artist. I think I enjoy both of it equally, and I could go into a trance with both. When I'm doing a number which is just a lot of movements, I completely forget my body and I can enjoy the rhythm to a very great extent. This could also be because I started dancing very early. So I started dancing when I was about 3 years old, and I remember dancing all my life. So this is how I express. This is my way of emoting what I feel. So if I'm happy, then I dance with a lot of joy and I lose myself there. And when I'm doing that, I'm more myself. In Nritta pieces, Nritta, if you all understood, is just pure dance movements, which does not convey a particular meaning. I am more myself. As Neha, I dance and I enjoy. But when I get into an Abhinaya piece, I have the privilege of going and becoming a character that we have never seen. But I can actually experience it to such a large extent that I forget being myself. So for me, both of it are equally beautiful, and I lose myself both the times.
Okay, here's another question for you. I would like to know how dance influences your personal daily life.
Okay, so like I mentioned, dancing has helped me be very, very disciplined, and I love discipline. I like waking up really early, going for my running, my exercises. The routine I follow is completely related to dancing. When I talk to people, everybody identify me as a Bharatanatyam dancer because of how I move my face and my hands. So I cannot talk to people without the usage of all this. It's been, it's so much into my muscle. So even without thinking, I constantly tend to express and move my body and talk. Otherwise, it influences me because I have learned to value every single thing around. My teachers have taught me about a tree that grows, how beautifully the flowers come out. So every time I see a tree, I can experience the growth of the tree and the emotions the tree feels when the wind is blowing, when it rains. When I see a peacock, I can experience the peacock and its feathers and the dance. So when I see the butterfly, we've gone into the depths of every single creature that we dance about, and because of it, I can see beauty in everything. And after I became a teacher, I realized that I could see beauty in every single student. All of them are so unique, and everybody has such unique capabilities. You cannot say that art is correct like this and wrong like this. It is impossible to say that. Art is finally beauty and an expression of the inner joy and the experiences that one person identifies. So because of this, I'm able to appreciate each and every person that I see. Any performance that I go to, I'm able to enjoy it. I've been able to control my temper to a very, very large extent because of being a teacher and because of being a dancer. So yes, it is, dancing has become a way of life for me. I cannot be separate from dancing. Dancing and me are one and the same. I live with my art.
Thank you. Still, I think some of your students are here because they're
Yes.
on your performance and they're saying best performance, Sneha ma'am. Very lovely performance, Sneha ma'am. Awesome performance and explanation, virtual applause. Somebody has given you. And Nehit says, loved it, ma'am. And somebody says, really beautiful.
So sweet, so sweet.
Yeah, very sweet of them. I think I see some young faces here. So that's very sweet. There's another question here for you. It says, have you choreographed any dance performances based on contemporary issues of social relevance?
I have not personally choreographed it. I haven't had the opportunity to yet show something like that, but I have been a part of various such choreographies. My teacher herself used to present a lot of choreographies based on novels and situations in the state. So yes, we do use it, but we mostly stick to stories from the past because of the body language that is used. It's a lot more easy to convey because our hastas and mudras don't very clearly suit the current lifestyle, though we can adapt into it and we show it. Like I can use a mobile phone like this, but it's not as beautiful as, okay, or I can maybe write in a book like this, but when I show a writing like this on a palm leaf, there is so much more beauty to it. And I think we want to, the whole point of this classical art form was to bring out the stories from the past, which would prove as instructions to people. So we try not to show a lot of negativity, a lot of hatred. We try to show beautiful things. We try to show meaningful messages which have a lot of morality in it. So
Somebody wants to know, can I learn dance at the age of 50?
oh yes, there is absolutely no age bar for dancing. Anybody after the age of 7, you can dance. If you're willing to come and practice hard and just surrender yourself to the art form, then yes, definitely, I would love to teach.
Okay, I hope that answers the gentleman's question. And so, any more questions? Does anyone have questions? You can also, if you like, unmute yourself and ask the question directly to Sneha in case you don't want to type it out, or you can go to the participants icon and put a raise hand there and we'll call on you.
Sneha, one question.
Yes.
Started by saying that this dance was created for the whole of humanity.
Yes.
But I find most of these dances only female sort of dances. So why is there limited men involved in the dances?
Actually, I think it's because a lot of the teachers were female, and because of which the dance got passed on as a very feminine form of it. And then the men who were learning it sort of took over that and started dancing in a very feminine form, which was not something really accepted in the society. Men have to behave a certain way, they have to be macho, and females have to be absolutely feminine. That was the past. But it's not like that anymore. There are a lot of male dancers who are really keen about it. But in general, I think the society does look at it like that, like a man must do sports and a woman must learn music and dance. And that is the reason it has happened. But this dance form was initially done by Nataraja, who is a man. So it's really not the right way.
So again, a lot of compliments. Any more questions? Otherwise, we can close. Anybody has any questions?
You can tell us something about the classes that you conduct? How frequently are they? And now in this situation, do you do online classes?
Yes, I've started doing online classes actually. So I honestly don't favor online classes because there is absolutely no personal connection. I cannot go and feel the child's hands and say, raise it up, or actually experience what the child is going through. Because a lot of the times, most of the artists, we have an entire day and it's the evening when they dance. So they must have had a really hard day or a really lazy day. And I can see that as soon as they come into class, and I train them based on their mental state and the physical state, and which I can't do a lot right now. But seems like the lockdown is going to extend, and it would not be okay for the body to be idle for so long. Bharatanatyam requires constant practice. If not, the body would go completely out of form. And just to avoid that and to make sure that the children are motivated and practicing, I am taking classes online now. And I think with time, I'm able to adapt and actually teach them in a pretty okay way. Not as much as I would enjoy in a regular face-to-face class, but I have to practically just adjust with this right now.
So if a newcomer came in, then how would you actually, after the lockdown, how would that work?
I would not take anybody new during the lockdown.
No, after the lockdown?
After the lockdown? Yeah, so how it happens is I initially ask children or whoever the artist is who wants to learn to come and be a part of the class for about 4 to 8 classes, to just be a part of the class and do all the exercises and move. I wouldn't be personally teaching them anything, but I would just tell them if there is any mistake in the way they're doing it. So after those 4 or 8 classes, they will understand whether they actually have the drive to continue learning, because it's quite strenuous. Bharatanatyam requires a lot of practice, a lot of discipline, body discipline, focus from the mind. So in those 8 sessions or 4 sessions, even I can identify whether the person truly wishes to learn the art form. And once there is a mutual understanding, we take the classes forward. We introduce them to good exercises and basic movements called the adavus. And then slowly, based on the speed of the student, we teach them, we progress forward. And I really love learning about all the characters we've had in India. I mean, I see a lot of children who are so fond of Star Wars and Avengers, and I tell them, you have no clue about Hanuman or Sri Rama. You learn about these stories. I mean, they were absolutely amazing. The problem is that all of us, at least from the teacher I grew, she taught us so beautifully about every single deity, whether it's Krishna or Ram, and we all grew up loving these men. So in mind, a man is like Rama, a man is like Krishna, a man is like Shiv, you know, and we don't find anybody else matching up to our God. It's just so hard because we've constantly spoken and been in love with the gods. A lot of the songs called Javalis, Padam and the Ashtapadi, we're all lovers of the God. And then it is so beautifully, we experience something totally out of this world when we do that. And then when we come back from that, we believe that is the real world, and this is the illusion. For all dancers, this is Maya, and the dancing world is the real world. I'm really blessed to have some wonderful gurus, ma'am. I think that's the most important thing, finding the right teacher who doesn't mind teaching and passing on everything, and by understanding us. So my teacher, Padmini Ramachandran, was so good because she didn't teach all of us the same way. She didn't put us into a class of 50 children and said, okay, do this. She watched each of us and understood what our strengths were, and she taught what suits us the best. Wow. I've been able to train my students the same way, understanding each of our strengths and the weak points and working around it. So I should say it's really because of my guru. She was fantastic. It was really wonderful to be a part of this.
No, we really can't thank you enough. It was graceful. It was beautiful. It was, spiritual. It was a lovely sort of spiritual journey. So I think, you've just taken us through a beautiful performance and a beautiful talk. And there was a lot that I learned about the art form from your talk and the connections and how each god has a special, sort of way in which you depict the expressions and the hands and the body movements. I didn't realize it was that intense. Okay, so thank you so much. It was a lot of learning for us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Some people have said, what with the kind of radiance, vibrancy, and charm. Did you have any health issues anytime? You must be blessed with a wonderful life.
I do have health issues. I mean, I live in Bangalore and there's a lot of pollution here. So because of the pollution, I do have a few issues, but it's all right. Once I start dancing, I forget everything. So it really doesn't matter. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. For everybody else, our webinars, I just wanted you to know that the Rtambhara webinars happen every week on Fridays, and on Tuesdays, we do it twice a month. So we have a program again this week on the 8th of May, Friday, with Krishnapani Kesiraju, and he's going to be talking on demystifying consciousness. I'm sure it's a topic that everybody wants to know something about. Consciousness has always been such an unknown quantity that you want to know it from a scientific perspective, you want to know it from a spiritual perspective, you want to know what is consciousness, are there dimensions to it, are there levels to it. So it's going to be a great session on this Friday with Sri Krishnapani Kesiraju. Please join us at 7 o'clock again, and it's the same link. And thank you all again for your presence and participation today from all of us at Rtambhara. And a special thank you again to you, Sneha. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.